Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our virtual workshop on money management tips for college enrollment and beyond. My name is Amber Abood, and I'm a senior financial aid officer overseeing our financial success and money management programs for UTSA students. And in our virtual workshop today, we're going to be talking about budgeting, and I'll be giving you some tips to hopefully start managing your money as a college student. So the first question I always like to ask students is, mind when you hear the word budget? For you personally, when you hear the word budget, what kind of words or phrases jump to your mind? Are they positive? Are they negative? I have taken some feedback from several in-person workshops that I've done in the past, and these are the most common words spoken by other students. As you can see, some of the big words on there are expenses, money, save, plan, and then you have some positive words like fun, vacation, food, but you also have some negative words like hard, confusing, and restrictions. The point of this exercise is one, to start you thinking about what your own personal thoughts are on budgeting, and two, to show you that your thoughts are probably pretty similar to what other students are thinking. The next question I ask is fairly straightforward and simple. What is a budget? How would you explain a budget to someone else? Everyone usually has their own definition of what a budget is, and that's okay. I'm here to try to make it simple and to get you thinking about different forms of budgeting. But simply put, a budget is a plan on how you want to spend your money. It's knowing your needs versus your wants, and ultimately you can create yourself an income guide. And we'll go into more detail about each of these as we go through the presentation. So to break budgeting down, we've come up with 5 steps to budget successfully. And those are: know your income, understand needs versus wants, review your current spending habits, create spending and savings goals, and then start tracking your future spending. So let's start with step number 1, knowing your income. You have to know where your money is coming from and how much you have in order to determine how to spend it. So in the pie chart, you can see some of the most common sources of income for college students. If you're getting financial aid, chances are you might be getting grants, scholarships, or loans, and those are all sources of income. They might be helping you pay for school and other living expenses such as rent. You may also have a part-time job, and that's getting income. And then you might also have family members, such as your parents, who are giving you financial contributions for school, and that also counts as income. So you can't determine how you're going to spend your money until you add up all of your sources of income and you get a clear picture of what your monthly or your semester income is going to be. So again, the first step would be to go back throughout the months and to add up what your income is. That way you have a starting point on how to determine to spend your money. If you're getting financial aid, you might do it on a semester basis, since your financial aid will all be coming in at the beginning of the semester, and then you can plan on how to spend your money for the duration of the semester. So step 2 is to understand your needs versus your wants. What items that you purchase are necessities versus comforts? We describe needs as any physical or psychological requirement and a want as a comfort or a luxury item. Now, this concept is pretty straightforward. I'm pretty sure we've all been shopping before and we've had an internal argument with ourselves over whether we need to buy an item or not. But sometimes we tend to not to practice this concept in terms of budgeting our monthly income. So a really quick activity that I like to do with students is to ask them to write down the last 5 to 10 items that you purchased, if you can recall off the top of your head, and decide whether that item is a need or a want. This not only starts you thinking about labeling items as needs versus wants, but it also kind of shows you a glimpse into your spending habits. So pause the video at this point to complete the exercise and jot down the last items you spent. Decide whether those items are needs versus wants. Some examples of needs might be tuition and fee payments, gas, rent, your cell phone bill, while some examples of your wants might be brand name shoes, a latte that you purchased on campus, snacks, football tickets. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't spend money on your wants, but it's important that you at least realize that some of the items that you might be buying are not necessarily needs. This leads us to step number 3, which is to review your current spending habits. Anytime that I meet with a student one-on-one to go over budgeting, my first recommendation is to go back to previous months and look at every purchase that you made. First, you'll want to mark your income, what money is coming in, and then you can mark your purchases as needs or wants. So the point is just to look at a previous month or two and get an idea of what your spending habits are and what you're spending on needs versus wants. In this case, for the example, we have a direct deposit paycheck coming in of $1,120. And then everything else listed there was money that was going out. So paying for rent, utilities, car payments, food, movies, internet. And what you're going to do is you're just going to go through and label those items as a need or a want. Again, this is going to give you an idea of what your spending habits are. And then you're going to go ahead and add up what you're spending on needs and what you're spending on wants. And I know that can be kind of scary to add up those totals, but you just have to know. Once you add up all of your spending on needs versus wants, then you can ask yourself, are your needs too high? And these are the items that we have to pay for every single month, but that doesn't mean that we can't still try to find the best deals. So see if you can get a cheaper price for rent or internet or groceries. Can you save on your electric bill by turning off lights more often? Usually there's always going to be competitors out there, people that are willing to offer newer, better prices, especially if you're a new customer. So don't be afraid to shop around, especially if these are items that you have to pay for every single month. Ask yourself, are your wants too high? Wants are essential for mental health. You should be able to spend some money on your wants every single month, but the key is to not overdo it. So see if you can make some cutbacks or you can choose cheaper alternatives. If you notice that you spend a lot of money on restaurants during the month, try to make a game plan to cook at home more often. Or instead of going out with your friends when you're likely to overspend money, try suggesting that you all stay in and you watch a movie instead. So this kind of leads us into step number 4, create spending and savings goals. As a college student, you may not be in a financial situation to save money right now, but you can at least understand the concept of creating yourself an income guide so that one day when you have a career after college, you'll be able to monitor your needs, your wants, and your savings goals. And one of the most common income guides is the 50-30-20. And that states that based on your monthly income, 50% of that will go towards your needs, 30% can be spent on wants, and 20% should go into a savings account. Let's take a look at a quick example. Let's say that you find a career where your salary is about $60,000 a year, and that would make your monthly income around $4,009 after taxes and all that fun stuff that gets taken out of your paycheck. 50% of your income should go towards your needs. If you take 50% of the $4,009, that would be roughly about $2,005. You can spend 30% on wants. So if you take 30% of the $4,009, you get $1,202. And then ideally, 20% of your income would go towards savings, and that calculates out to $802. And that would be an example of how to portion out your income based on a percentage. Now, you as a college student, you may not be able to adhere to the 50-30-20 guide, but maybe your percentages right now are higher for your needs because you're paying your bills for school, and maybe you can't spend as much on your wants, and perhaps you don't have the funds right now to save. And again, that's okay. But knowing your current percentages on spending can help you plan for the future. And it helps you ask yourself, am I meeting my income guide every month? One method that a lot of students find helpful, and actually a lot of students tell me that they use this method, is the envelope method. And in theory, you create yourself a set of envelopes, or you can also buy one of those plastic accordion organizers, and you set yourself a specific amount of cash to spend for the week or the month. And once the cash is gone, you stop spending money on that particular category. Now, the reason this works for some people is that they have a tangible representation of their spending, and they don't get lost on swiping their credit or debit cards when making purchases. because we've all been at the point where we buy items with our cards and we're guilty of not regularly checking our bank accounts. This way, it helps us to not overspend. And again, we have a representation that we can touch and we can feel and we can say, okay, the money is gone, so I'm not going to spend any more money on this. The more that we overspend, the less likely we will ever be to have a solid savings account. So it's never too late to start saving. It's never too early to start saving either. Make yourself a goal on a savings account, and this is really important in case you ever have emergencies that pop up in the future. It's also reassuring in a way to know that you have a nest egg of money behind you to help support you when you need it the most. And I know, trust me, it's hard to save in college. You have so many more expenses right now to take care of as a college student, but you can start to make short-term savings goals, like let's say you want to save money to buy books for next semester out of pocket, or you can make small payments towards your student loans. Eventually, you'll work up to long-term savings goals, like perhaps you want to purchase a new car, so you need a down payment, or you want to pay off the full amount of a student loan that you have. The more you have a goal of how to save something, the more likely you are to be able to reach that goal. Because a lot of times, if you're just saving money to save, it's more tempting to spend that money because you don't have a goal. You don't have something that that money is going towards. But if you create yourself a goal, then you already know that that money is going towards something else, and you're less likely to spend it. Now that you know the first steps towards budgeting, you can put those in practice by starting to track your future spending. So start keeping track on the first of the month, review all of your bills, be aware of what you're purchasing as far as needs versus wants, create yourself an income guide, and then start searching for cheaper alternatives on the items that you're currently buying. We do have some resources on our money management website. It's money.utsa.edu. You can find a monthly budget sheet out there as well as a starter Excel template, which allows you to easily start to plug in your numbers and keep track of your bills and other expenses that you're spending money on. And again, this kind of helps you to start looking at your spending habits and to see what you're spending on needs, what you're spending on your wants, and then you can budget your income a little bit more properly. I do have some last minute tips for budgeting. One would be to use budget apps on your phone. And if you find it easier to keep track of spending through using your phone, there's tons of free apps out there where you can log your spending. So if you're one of those people who doesn't want to use an Excel template or you don't like to write things down, using a budget app might be better for you. So you can keep track right on your phone of the items that you're spending money on, and you can set yourself a goal, a spending goal, a limitation, so to speak, on how much you're going to spend on each category. Number two would be to start meal prepping. And this was actually recommended to me by other college students, and I think it's an awesome idea to save money and be healthier in your food options. There are plenty of YouTube videos out there on meal prepping on a budget. There's even ones that are very specific to students who are college students. And, knowing that you're on a very strict budget as a college student, meal prepping is a great way to sort of save money every week on and having home cooked meals. Number three kind of goes hand in hand, but it would be to avoid food deliveries. And you know exactly what delivery apps I'm talking about. They get extremely expensive. So just try to avoid them as much as possible and understand that maybe that would be a splurge every now and then on getting food delivered. Number four would be to limit your student loan borrowing. Borrowing loans to pay for educational expenses for your needs is okay, but don't borrow student loans to pay for your wants now because you'll end up paying for them later on and possibly paying more for them. On that note, I do want to encourage all students to be educated on loans that they're borrowing for school. Familiarize yourself with the National Student Loan Database, or NSLDS, and this is the site where you can track your borrowing and you can make payments. Just for a fun fact, if you borrow $7,000 in student loans, you will end up paying back about $74 a month for 10 years once you graduate. If you borrow $20,000, you'll end up paying back $212 a month when you graduate, and you can see that the interest on the loan starts accruing. So instead of owing back $20,000 total, you'll end up paying $25,000 total. If you borrow $50,000, you'll end up paying $530 a month when you graduate for 10 years, and that's $63,000 total with interest. So I don't know about y'all, but a $500 a month loan payment would eat up a pretty good portion of my paycheck. So that's why it's important to just be constantly aware of what you're going to be owing back based on how much you borrow. So again, if you'd like, visit our money management website. We do have a portfolio Excel template on our money management website, and you can make a one-on-one appointment with someone and go over loan responsibilities and how much you might need to borrow each semester if you do need to borrow for your educational expenses. And we just want to make sure that all of our students are borrowing responsibly. Also, do continue to fill out your free application for federal student aid, also known as the FAFSA, every single year to potentially qualify for grants and scholarships, and create your account on our Scholarship Hub website to look for scholarship opportunities every single year. They are adding new opportunities almost on a monthly basis, so don't just create your account and then forget it. Go out there every single month and check for new scholarship opportunities, and then make sure you're filling out your FAFSA by October 1st, because as a student, getting grants and scholarships potentially would be a great source of income for you. All right, so that sums up my tips on how to get started budgeting for college enrollment. If you want extra help, you can always reach out to us by emailing money@utsa.edu or visiting our website for some extra reading and resources. Again, it's money.utsa.edu. And if you have financial aid questions, please reach out to our one-stop enrollment center. We do want all of our students to be equipped with a mindset for managing money as they progress academically, and we're always here to help. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us virtually, and go Roadrunners.